Hello and welcome everyone. This is my full guide for the Dark Hours raid on the Division 2. I have recently refreshed all of my raid content on the channel, and in this guide I am going to cover every inch of this raid. This guide is intended for people that have no experience with the raid or very little, and it doesn't stop here. I have even more videos that go more in depth with things that I'll be discussing today, things like builds and individual role perspectives for my strategy on this raid. All of this content will be found in the video description, along with a link to my personal Discord server if you want to join our queue for help with this raid. I also have a system called Team GC where anyone can get trained up to join one of our teams or even to support me in my streams. All information on this system is in the Discord server. Please take note that all of this content, including this video, is for the normal version of the raid and not the discovery version. The discovery version is a matchmakeable experience for players to test the raid with easier mechanics, but you cannot get everything done in discovery, including the raid exotic. The format of this guide will go like this. I'm going to cover the raid from start to finish. I'll explain every mechanic and how to complete each encounter. I will give you an explanation of the builds and strategy that I use in my streams. I will cover every commendation that is attached to the raid, and I'll cover the backpack trophy and any raid keys that you'll want to collect along your way. Please also take note that these are my strategies and builds that I choose to use. There are countless builds and ways that you can go about this raid. For example, if you don't like the idea of using glass cannon like I do, then you can switch this talent out to whatever you like, or even use a different form of build altogether that'll still be able to complete the task. So let's get stuck into it. We're going to start with what we call Tarmac. Your first task of this raid is to get past the Tarmac and reach the first boss encounter. As your team heads up the rope, you'll have ad spawns down the left and right sides. What I like to do here is send one of the subgroups to the left side and one to the right. There'll be drones to deal with, there'll be chungers, and as you progress, there'll be warhounds as well. There are no mechanics or anything special here, and it is simply kill the ads and move on. In terms of builds, I just have my team set up with the builds that they'll be using for the first boss encounter, which includes a healer who can keep everyone healed on the Tarmac. You may notice a few blue bears hiding in this section, and these will be getting covered at the very end of this guide when I'll give you the location of all 40 of them. Shooting all of these bears is required for a commendation. Boomer is going to be your first boss encounter of the raid, and he is one of the more difficult encounters. Essentially, you and your team will need to deal with ad spawns while kiting Boomer around the room to do damage phases. If you take too long to kill Boomer, there is a wipe mechanic where he'll destroy one of the guns that you need, and once he destroys the second gun, it is game over. So you must be efficient with how quick you kite Boomer and bring his health down. Boomer will also have a healing ability where when his chest is green, he'll be healing himself. And there will also be laptop phases where if laptops are not interacted with quick enough, nodes will rise in the room and they'll make everything immune within their radius. The key areas of this boss fight are ad control, Boomer kiting, and the laptop phases. For ad control, I place 4 members of my team on all the ad spawns, and their job is solely to take care of the ads. I have one person who I call a floater, who can have an eye on each of the ad spawns, and then I have 2 people in charge of kiting Boomer and doing Boomer damage. The last member of the team is the healer, who will keep everyone healed and follow the kiters with Boomer. For the laptop phases, I make the floater be in charge of this. An alarm will go off to signal that laptops need to be interacted with, and there are screens that display which ones, A, B, C, or D. Depending on the damage done to Boomer, you'll need to interact with either 1, 2, 3, or 4 laptops. The floater can read these screens and call out which laptops need to be done, then team members can support the floater when the call is made. If only one laptop needs doing, then the floater will have it covered. If a second one needs doing, then the healer will jump on with the floater to have it covered. And if a third one needs doing, then we have someone that covers ads that'll jump on and help the other 2 to get them covered. Sometimes all 4 laptops are needed, so either the 3 people allocated can hit all 4, or one more person from ad control can jump in and help. If you fail to interact with all of the laptops, then 4 nodes will appear in the room that will cause ads to be immune from damage, and the only way to take these down is to get back on the 2 guns and shoot them down again. So we're now going to move on to my Boomer strategy. I'm going to go over all 8 of my roles and builds that I have to get this encounter done. Starting with Agent 1. My Agent 1 will wear an ongoing directive build that also has Overwatch and Opportunistic. It looks like this. The specialization is the firewall, and then the primary weapon here that I'm using is the Carbine 7, but you can go with any high-end AR that you prefer. You want to have damage to target out of cover as the third attribute on that, and the talent I have is Vindictive. This will give your team, if they're within a certain radius, more critical hit chance and damage as you're getting kills. The secondary is the Scorpio, and we use this because of ongoing directive. You need to get enemies on a status so that you can kill them and proc OD rounds. So quite often, depending on the encounter, I'll get OD procced on an enemy with the Scorpio, switch to my Carbine 7 then. That'll take over the OD rounds and I can keep on proccing OD with the Assault Rifle. Sidearm doesn't matter. And then for the gear pieces, we've got an ongoing directive mask, gloves, knees, and holster. All of these are rolled to weapon damage and critical hit damage. The chest piece is a Gruppo chest with weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and Overwatch on it. And then the backpack is the perfect setup backpack, weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and that comes with perfect opportunistic. For the mods on the build, you can either go with crit chance mods or crit damage mods. That's up to your preference. I will always run this build with a Revive Hive, and then the second skill will depend on the encounter. Quite often, more often than not, you want an assault turret. Your role here as Agent 1 is to take cover in the corner at door 40. You'll be staying in cover at all times to give your team your Overwatch buff, and you'll be clearing any ads that come out of door 40 or the donut shop door. While taking out ads, you should be trying to proc OD rounds for your squad. You do this by shooting them with the Scorpio to get the OD stack on them, and the OD rounds will be given once the ad dies. Once you notice the OD stack, you can switch to your AR, then you can get your OD rounds on that so that this will then stack enemies with OD. This will be your job for the whole encounter, and you can use your assault turret to put on one of the doors to help with ad aggro. Agent 2 is my next role, and as Agent 2 you'll be the floater. The build that you want to have is a DPS build, and we use a glass cannon striker build that looks like this. It has a grenade launcher specialization. We've got the exotic St. Elmo's as a primary, but you can go with any assault rifle that you want here. This is just what I prefer. Secondary is the lefty, and then the sidearm doesn't matter. For your gear pieces, you want to have 4-piece striker. That's on the mask, backpack, gloves, and holster. All will be rolled to weapon damage and critical hit damage. For the chest piece, we have a Cheska chest piece with weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and glass cannon. And then the knee pads are the Fox's Prayer knee pads with damage to target out of cover, critical hit damage, and weapon damage as the core. For the mods on the build, you can either go with crit chance mods or crit damage mods. That's up to your preference. For the skills, you'll be using a Revive Hive and an Assault Turret. As the floater, you're going to be in a position where you can see the ad spawns at Donut Shop Corner, Burger Corner, and doors 43 and 44. For the most part, you'll want to keep an eye on the ad spawns and support with them, with extra attention going to doors 43 and 44, as you have one agent covering those two ad spawns. On the laptop phases, it is your job to call out which laptops need to be interacted with, and you'll always cover one of them. If 2 laptops are needed, the healer will help you. If 3 laptops are needed, then the healer and someone from the donut corner will help you. And if there are 4 laptops needed, then the 3 of you should be able to cover all 4, but the agent on doors 43 and 44 will jump in and help if they have no ads. Moving on to my Agent 3 role. As Agent 3, you'll wear a striker DPS build with tamper-proof, which looks like this. It's got the grenade launcher specialization, the exotic St. Elmo's, which again, you can have any assault rifle that you prefer here. I just prefer the St. Elmo's. The secondary is the lefty, the sidearm doesn't matter. You want to wear the exotic coyote mask to buff your team's crit chance and damage. And then you want to have 4 striker pieces, which are the backpack, gloves, knees, and holster. All of these should be rolled to weapon damage and critical hit damage. The chest piece is a Cheska chest piece with weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage on it, and the talent tamper-proof. For the mods on the build, you can either go with crit chance mods or crit damage mods. That's up to your preference. And as for the skills, you'll have a Revive Hive and a Sniper Turret. We go Sniper Turret with this because the Sniper Turret is going to be what you proc tamper-proof with, and out of all of the turrets, it's the one that lasts the longest. Your only job for this encounter is to cover the ad spawn at Burger Shop. You'll put your Sniper Turret down at the door to proc tamper-proof and make sure that all the ads that spawn die. Now on to Agent 4. As Agent 4, you'll be wearing a DPS tardigrade build, which looks like this. It's the Sharpshooter specialization, A St. Elmo's as the primary, but again you can choose what you want. A lefty as the secondary, and then the sidearm doesn't matter. You want to have the exotic tardigrade chest piece. This is to give your team a little bit of extra survivability because everybody pretty much has unbreakable when somebody wears a tardigrade. And then there's 4 striker pieces: the mask, backpack, gloves, and holster. All of these will be rolled to weapon damage and crit hit damage. And for the knee pads, you'll be wearing the Fox's Prayer knee pads with weapon damage, damage target out of cover, and crit hit damage. For the mods on the build, you can either go with crit hit chance mods or crit hit damage mods. That's up to your preference. For the skills, you want to go with Revive Hive, and for your second skill, you want to go to Tactician Drone. This is only available with the Sharpshooter specialization, and what this will do is when you put it out, it will scan the area for enemies and act like your team's scanner pulse. In this role on Boomer, you are going to be with Agent 1 covering Door 40 and Donut Shop. At the start of the encounter, you'll want to put out your Tactician Drone in the center of the area so that it can scan enemies, and your main job is just to kill ads that spawn in your corner. In the laptop phases, you'll be designated to interact with a laptop if 3 or more laptops are called out. I'm going to go out of order here with my agent numbers, but this is just because I want to keep the numbers in sync with the extra guides that I have in the video description, and it just makes sense to cover Agent 8 right now. So as Agent 8, you'll also be wearing the same Striker DPS tamper-proof build that I just shown for Agent 3. You are going to be in charge of covering doors 43 and 44. You can throw your sniper turret out at one of these doors to let tamper-proof help you manage the ads, and you'll just be killing any ads that spawn from these 2 doors. Agent 2 as the floater will support you when they can if you get overwhelmed. This will be your only task for the encounter unless there are 4 laptops called out on the laptop phase. If a call for 4 laptops is made and you have no ads to deal with, you should jump in and help interact with the laptops. Agent 6 is next, and as Agent 6 you are the healer, and the build that you want to run looks like this. We start with the survivalist specialization, and then for your primary weapon you want to have the exotic Scorpio, the secondary is the lefty, and the sidearm doesn't matter. For this build we go with 4-piece True Patriot on the mask, backpack, knee pads, and holster. This can be a little bit of a hard farm because True Patriot does come with armor blue cores, and you'll want to farm these pieces so that you get repair skills as the attribute, which will enable you to take out the blue core and throw on skill tier, because each piece you want to have skill tier and repair skills. You'll then want to use the exotic BTSU gloves so that you can use overcharge and refresh people's hives when needed. And then for the chest piece, it is an Alps Summit chest piece with skill tier, skill haste, repair skills, and then the talent is Empathic Resolve. What this talent does is when you heal people, it'll let them do extra damage for so many seconds. For the mods on the build, you can go with skill haste mods or repair skills mods. This is your preference. The skills that you want to use on this build are the Restorer Hive and then the Reinforcer Chem Launcher. At the start of the encounter, you're going to throw your hive up into the center. Then anybody that needs a heal knows that the center of the room will give it them. Then you also have your Chem Launcher to heal people too if needed. Your job will then be to follow around the 2 kiters who are taking Boomer from gun to cause damage. Just make sure that they stay healed. And you'll also want to try and proc the red True Patriot buff on Boomer once he goes down. You can also shoot Boomer with the Scorpio if you want to also proc the Scorpio buffs when he is on his knees. When the laptop phases get called out, you'll be helping with the laptops if 2 or more are called. On to Agent 5. As Agent 5, you'll be wearing a Future Initiative DPS build that looks like this. We have the Survivalist Specialization, the St. Elmo's Assault Rifle as the primary weapon, but go with whatever assault rifle you prefer. The lefty as the secondary, and the sidearm doesn't matter. With the gear, you'll want to run the exotic Coyote's mask to help buff your team's crit chance and damage. And for the backpack, it's a Grupo backpack with weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and the talent Vigilance. And for the remaining 4 pieces, you want to have 4 pieces of Future Initiative. These can be a hard farm again because you want to get weapon damage on these pieces, and Future Initiative will come with skill tier. So you want to farm all 4 of these pieces to get crit hit damage as the attribute so that you can roll weapon damage, and all 4 pieces will have weapon damage and crit hit damage on them. For the mods on the build, you can either go with crit hit chance mods or crit hit damage mods. That's up to your preference. And the skills you want to run on this build is a Revive Hive and an Assault Turret. By running this build is the reason why we can have a true Patriot healer, and we're still going to be getting the Future Initiative buff from this build for the whole squad, and then the healer can just give more buffs. At the start of the encounter, you'll need to jump on gun 41 and you'll be working with Agent 7, who is going to be on gun 45. When everyone is ready, you'll use the gun to shoot down the 2 nodes in front of you, while Agent 7 shoots their nodes, and the encounter will begin. Once the nodes are done, you'll head to where Boomer spawns in, and once he spawns, you'll need to take his aggro. The best way to do this is to shoot his chest that will be green. This will automatically give you his aggro, and then you can kite Boomer over to gun 45 where Agent 7 can shoot his backpack to take him to his knees. Once he is on his knees, you can both do damage to him, and you should aim for the head. As Boomer stands up, either you or Agent 7 will get his aggro, and you must kite him to gun 41. Whoever does not have his aggro will jump on the gun, and you are doing the same again. One of you will shoot his backpack to take him to his knees, and then you'll both do damage to him. This is your role until the encounter is finished and you kill Boomer. Just keep going from gun to gun to cause damage. You just have to have one eye on his chest at all times because it will go green again, and this means he'll be healing. Whenever his chest goes green, you just need to shoot it to stop him from healing. My final role for the Boomer boss fight is Agent 7. As Agent 7, you need to have a DPS build, and we have you put on the same glass cannon striker DPS build I showed earlier for Agent 2. As just discussed, you'll be working with Agent 5 on kiting Boomer. At the start of the encounter, you'll start on gun 45 to take down the 2 nodes, and then you'll wait there until Agent 5 brings Boomer over to you after he is spawned in. You'll shoot his backpack to take him to his knees and do damage. You'll then work with Agent 5 as discussed above to kite Boomer from gun to gun and do damage while shooting out his green chest when he starts to heal. That is everything that you need to know about the Boomer encounter and the basics. I do, however, want to share one more strategy that can really be helpful with killing Boomer quicker, and it's called the Boomer Double Down. With this, you'll be able to take Boomer down twice each time that you're at a gun, which means 2 damage phases in one. And to do this, all you'll need to do is have your healer fire 5 shots at Boomer once he's on his knees with the Scorpio. And then as he starts to stand up, they'll fire a 6th shot that'll shock Boomer and slow him down, giving the person on the gun a chance to take him down to his knees for a second time. The timing for this is important, and the person on the gun is looking out for when Boomer is moving his arm towards his gun as he stands up. If they can time shooting his backpack with when he makes that arm movement, it tends to work every time. Also, for this to work, you need to make sure that nobody else is using a Scorpio on Boomer or any shock rounds from the St. Elmo's. Before I move on from Boomer, the Boomer boss encounter does have a commendation called the Rapid Response Merit. The description for this is to defeat Max Boomer Bailey in the Dark Hours raid without any agent using the same mounted weapon more than once. I advise to go for this after you and your team have some experience because it can be a little bit tricky. I also advise that you nail down the Boomer Double Down strategy, as this will make it much easier to complete. Basically, once you have interacted with a gun and come off it, you cannot interact with it again, but you can interact with both guns. This means that once you have been on both guns and come off, you can no longer interact with any of the guns or the commendation is void. Your team needs to move quick and be very efficient because once the kiters have used the guns, you'll then need to switch in other people to get on the guns for them. In my strategy, you would use the floater to jump in before other people on the ad spawns, because the more people that have to jump in to help with the guns, the messier the encounter can get. With the double down strategy, you can easily do this before you even need the floater to jump in. After the Boomer encounter, you'll go ahead and get your first raid key, which is in the next area. This key is going to be locked inside the sandwich shop, and you'll notice a button. You need to have one of your team head inside a room the opposite side that is locked with a padlock. Shoot this padlock and you'll find a switch. Just have one of your team interact with this switch and then have someone else hit the button on the sandwich store straight afterwards. This will open the gates, but you'll have drones appear that need to be taken care of. Kill the drones and go inside the shop to collect your key. We will now move on to Weasel. Weasel is going to be your next boss encounter on this raid, and essentially you and your team will be killing Weasel, but he has 2 guards called Ricochet and Dizzy that you also need to manage and kill. Not only this, but there is a gas mechanic in the room where the room is split into two halves. One half will have purple gas and the other half will have orange gas. The orange gas will let you do damage to enemies within it, but the purple gas will remove your damage to enemies that are in it. This gas will switch sides as well and will only appear once you start the encounter. There are also other basic adds that spawn in as well. The key areas to this boss fight are the central switches, the gas, and killing Ricochet, Dizzy, and Weasel as quick as you can. The central switches are what you'll use to start the encounter, and you must have people either side of the room in order to interact with them. On the B side, you'll be able to see which of these three switches need to be interacted with. It'll either be front, middle, or back, and you can distinguish that by going from the front to the back of the plane. A person on B side will call out which switch it is, and then a person will need to be on A side, and both of you will hit the switches at the same time. This will start the encounter, and Ricochet will jump out of a window on B side, while Dizzy will jump out of a window on A side. When you want to hit the switches again, it's going to switch sides as to who will see which switch is needed. The gas will also be released on the first press of these switches, with orange starting on B side and purple on A side. The gas works by charge, up to a stack of 20. At 20, it is at its most potent, which means in orange you'll be doing the most damage at 20 stacks, and in purple you'll be doing the least damage at 20 stacks. While both Ricochet and Dizzy are alive, the gas can only switch sides if the buttons in the center are interacted with again. Once Ricochet or Dizzy die, Weasel will appear in the opposite side to which one of them died, and the plane in the center of the room will lift up, making both sides accessible. The gas will still be working as it was, but it'll now switch from side to side automatically at 20 stacks. From here, you just need to kill the remaining enemies, and it can be done in any order. Once they are dead, you can clear up on any of the basic adds and the encounter is over. Ricochet, Dizzy, and Weasel will each have the ability to fire grenades at you and shoot you. Weasel has the extra ability of firing a sticky bomb that will do a huge amount of damage to anyone caught in the radius. Other potential hazards are the adds that spawn in, especially the snipers. Now we'll move on to my Weasel strategy. I'm going to go over the 8 roles again with the builds that I have got to get this encounter done, starting with Agent 1. You will continue to use the Overwatch Opportunistic Ongoing Directive build from the Boomer fight. You are going to go down B side at the start of the encounter and throw an assault turret on the window ledge to distract the sniper. Then you'll take cover in the garage area and try and stay in cover at all times to keep Overwatch procced for the team. When the encounter starts and Ricochet spawns in, you'll use your Scorpio to shoot at Ricochet. Only shoot to kill once a call has been made to kill him. As soon as he is dead, you'll have the opportunity to give your team some extra OD rounds because an ad will come down in front on a rope and he'll need to be killed, so try and get your Scorpio on him. Then on the opposite side of the room, you'll focus the other 2 bosses while staying where you are. Dizzy normally appears first, so fire your Scorpio at him, but we want to kill Weasel first, so once Weasel is in your sight line, you want to shoot at Weasel until he is dead. Once Weasel dies, you can then shoot back at Dizzy until he is dead, and the encounter will then be over once the basic adds are cleared. Moving on to Agent 2, you'll continue using the DPS build that you had from Boomer, the one I've shown with a glass cannon striker build. Just like Agent 1, you're going to head down B side and throw an assault turret on the window ledge. You'll then take cover in the garage and shoot at Ricochet once he spawns in. You will shoot until his armor is at about 1 bar, and then wait for the call to kill him. On the call, he needs to die as soon as possible. Then from your location, you'll shoot at the bosses on the other side of the room. Normally Dizzy will appear before Weasel, so do some damage to Dizzy, but you don't want to kill him first. As soon as Weasel is in your sight line, you want to shoot at Weasel to kill. With Weasel dead, you can then shoot back at Dizzy to finish him. Then just clear up the adds to clear the encounter. I'll cover Agent 7 and Agent 8 together. Agent 7 and 8 will be doing exactly the same as Agent 2. Agent 7 will keep the Glass Cannon Striker DPS build on, while Agent 8 will need to switch to the Glass Cannon Striker DPS build. Agent 5 will also be doing exactly the same as Agent 2, 7 and 8, and will keep their Future Initiative DPS build on that they won for Boomer. The only difference to the other agents is that you'll take off the assault turret and throw on a scanner pulse. When you hear the overcharge call, you'll hit your scanner pulse to give your squad 15 seconds of extra damage. Moving on to Agent 6, and Agent 6 will be keeping the same True Patriot healer build that they won for Boomer. You want to go down B side and you'll put your Restorer Hive out in the garage area to cover the team that are there. When the encounter starts, your job is to get your True Patriot stacks on Ricochet, and the main one is the red stack that you want. It might be easier to use an assault rifle to get the stack, so you can switch your Scorpio out for an AR if you'd like to. Just make sure you don't kill Ricochet before the call is made to kill him. Once Ricochet is dead, you'll focus on getting your True Patriot stacks on both Dizzy and Weasel, who will be on the opposite side of the room. Make sure that you at least get the red stack on both of them, and when the gas changes at 20 stacks, you want to do an overcharge soon after. Time destroying your hive as soon as you start to see the orange gas in your half of the room. As your hive breaks, just shout out that you've done an overcharge so Agent 5 can use their scanner pulse. With the overcharge done, you will want to use your chem launcher to put out overcharged chems to the whole team. The encounter will probably be over before those chems run out, but for the rest of the encounter, just make sure your squad stay healed. Agent 4 is next, and Agent 4 will be keeping the same tardigrade striker build on that they used for Boomer. You will be heading down B side, and you'll want to place your tactician drone in the center near to the screens. Once the team is ready, you'll call out which screen needs to be pressed, be it front, center, or back. Agent 3 will be on the other side, they'll get into place, and you'll both hit the screens at the same time. This will start the encounter off, and then what you'll want to do is get into cover near to the screens, but don't shoot at Ricochet so you don't get any of the aggro. Keep an eye on Ricochet's armor, and once it's at about 1 bar, you want to hit the screens again. Agent 3 on the other side will let you know which one, and then you'll both hit the screen and call for Ricochet to die. If done correctly and Ricochet dies quick enough after the press, then you'll get a moment where the gas switches and the purple doesn't affect things like it should. It just means the team can do more damage while the purple gas is on the bosses. After the screens, you just want to retreat to the garage area with the rest of your squad and work on the bosses with them. You want to kill Weasel first and then Dizzy. And the final role is Agent 3. Agent 3 will be switching to this tank build for the Weasel encounter. It looks like this. We got the firewall specialization and the weapons don't really matter. I throw on a exotic sidearm, the Mosquito, just to help take the aggro. It's also meant to give your team extra armor damage, but I'm not sure if that's working in the game right now. It's how it was intended originally, but I haven't really tested it. The aggro does work though. And the gear looks like this. You want the exotic Catharsis mask, a Lengmo backpack with armor regen, explosive resistance, and adrenaline rush. Lengmo also comes with some more explosive resistance. The chest is the perfect pointman chest piece with armor regen and explosive resistance, and then you've got perfect Vanguard to give your squad bonus armor. It's got the Bellstone Armory gloves there with armor regen and explosive resistance, and then 2 improvised pieces. We've got an improvised holster and improvised knee pads, both with armor regen and explosive resistance, and all 6 pieces have armor core. There are 5 mod slots that you're able to put on this build, and with all 5 mod slots, you want to throw on protection from elites. And for your skills, you want a Revive Hive and a Bulwark Shield. You will go down A side on your own at the start of this encounter. You want to be ready to hit the screen once everyone is in place. Agent 4 will let you know which screen needs to be pressed, be it front, middle, or back, and you'll both hit the screens at the same time to start the encounter off. Dizzy will spawn into your side of the room, but he shouldn't pose much of a threat because of the build that you have on. You want to focus on Ricochet's armor bar, and once it's at 1 bar, you want to hit the screens again with Agent 4. But this time, you'll have to let Agent 4 know which screen it is. Once they've been pressed again, you can make a call for Ricochet to die. Once Ricochet dies, the plane will go up, and you want to kite Dizzy into a corner just inside of the B side of the room. You can do this by shooting him with your Mosquito, and he will follow you. Just keep Dizzy's aggro in this corner while your team kills Weasel, and then they'll kill Dizzy. While you're doing all of this, you should be proccing Vanguard for your squad by using your shield when Vanguard is available. And that is everything that you need to know for the Weasel boss encounter. But before I move on, this encounter does have a commendation called the Target Prioritization Merit. The description for this is to defeat Oliver Weasel Gordon in a Dark Hours raid, while at least one of the security detail is still alive. The good news for this is that my strategy that I just discussed covers this commendation. Basically, you need to kill Weasel while either Ricochet or Dizzy are still alive, and in the strategy that I just shared with you, we'll kill Weasel before we kill Dizzy, which means the commendation will unlock. After the Weasel encounter, there is a backpack trophy that you can get, You'll go up the elevator shaft and then across the plane. Once you're on the other side, you want to run past the door that you're meant to go through, and you'll come to a crane platform. Just jump on this and there will be a search interaction for the Riot Gas Canisters backpack trophy. The next 2 raid keys can be found shortly after you defeat Weasel and have got your backpack trophy. You'll come outside to an area where you need to kill some ads and drones, and once back inside there'll be a door with space above it that you can throw a concussion grenade into. Have someone throw a concussion grenade through this space and it'll open up the door, revealing your second raid key. From there, as you enter the next room, you're going to trigger a mechanic where an elevator door will start to close. This elevator is the opposite side of the room, and there will be ad spawns from all over that include chungers and warhounds. To get this key, you need to have somebody run straight for this elevator so that they get inside before the door closes. Once the door is closed, they can hit a button inside to open it back up and it will stay open. What I do is I make sure that everyone stays together while they're getting the second key, and then I send the healer to race to the elevator while everybody else takes care of the ads. The healer can drop their healer hive on the way so there's still heals for the team if needed. Lucy and Buddy will be your third boss encounter of the Dark Hours raid. Essentially, you and your team need to kill 2 warhounds while bringing their armor down in sync with one another. Lucy and Buddy will both have different mechanics that will try to make things difficult for you, and if you go out of sync with their armor bars, they will retreat to one another to restore all of the damage that you have done to them so far. The key areas to this boss fight are managing aggro from Lucy and Buddy, defending yourselves against their threats while dealing with their defenses, and dealing damage to both Lucy and Buddy so that you can bring their armor bars down in sync. The encounter will start once somebody interacts with the button at the end of the room. Lucy and Buddy will wake up and head to the center of the room where Buddy will drop seeker mines and Lucy will do a 360 turret spin. Everyone will want to dodge this spin as it hits very hard, but the seeker mines are quite harmless except for knocking you out of cover. As a team, you want to break up Lucy and Buddy so that you're in a good position to deal with their hazards, and then do damage to them so that their armor bars come down together in sync. If the armor bars go out of sync, both Lucy and Buddy will start to head back to the center of the room to heal. And the only way to correct this is to get the armor bars back in sync. As long as you bring the armor bars down together and keep both in the segments, you can call to burn both warhounds once they are at about 1 to 2 bars of armor. You'll shoot to kill at this point and need to kill both dogs at pretty much the same time. If Lucy dies first, Buddy will self-heal constantly and you'll need to fight through that to kill him. And if Buddy dies first, Lucy will do a 360 turret spin that you need to manage, so killing them at the same time is the best option. Mines will drop on the floor around Lucy when she dies, so be careful of them once the encounter is over. And there is also a wipe mechanic for this encounter that goes unheard of because the encounter can be so short, but also the fact most people just wipe if they go wrong anyway. Around the room there are timers, and this is how much time you have to complete the encounter until a wipe is forced. We will now move on to my Lucy and Buddy strategy. I'll go through all 8 roles and builds that I have to get this encounter done. Starting with Agent 1. You'll switch your build for this encounter to the Striker Glass Cannon build that other agents have been using during the previous 2 boss encounters. You'll be responsible for doing damage to Buddy while making sure his armor comes down in sync with Lucy's armor. As you head into the area for Lucy and Buddy, you'll take position to the left corner as soon as you enter in between the 2 stores. You'll stay here for the whole encounter. Once the encounter starts, just make sure that you're in cover or break eyeline of Lucy when she does a 360 turret spin. After this, Agent 4 will kite Buddy over to you in this corner. Do not start shooting Buddy until the call has been made to, because Lucy is also being kited and you want to make sure that Lucy is in position before you start shooting Buddy. Agent 3 or 8 will make the call once it is most suited to start firing. Once you start firing, you do not need to worry about Lucy's 360 spin and can just focus on Buddy. You need to watch the armor bars though and make sure they come down together. Buddy will have a heal from time to time, so you'll need to fire through this, and he also has seeker mines, but these aren't too much of an issue. If the armor bars go out of sync, then Buddy and Lucy will start to head back to the center of the room to heal, and as a team you'll need to correct the armor bars to stop them, or they'll heal all of the damage that you've just done to them. At this point, it would be a good call just to wipe the encounter and go again. As long as the armor bars are managed though, the team should make a call to burn both warhounds once the armor is at about 1 to 2 bars left. On this call, everybody needs to shoot to kill the dogs, and the encounter will be over. Agents 2, 5 and 7 will all be doing exactly the same as what I just explained for Agent 1. They'll also stick with the same builds that they've been using throughout. So Agent 2 and 7 will have a Glass Cannon Striker build, and Agent 5 will be using a Future Initiative DPS build. Agent 4 will also be keeping the same Striker Tardigrade build that they have had on so far. The only adjustment to make is to put on an exotic Mosquito sidearm. At the start of the encounter as Agent 4, you can put your Tactician drone out in the center of the room, and then you'll want to take cover on Buddy's laptop. This is just across from the agents that are waiting in the corner for Buddy. As the encounter starts, you want to stay in cover to dodge Lucy's 360 turret, and then once this is over, you'll be able to interact with the laptop, which will give you Buddy's aggro. With this aggro, you want to kite Buddy over to the agents waiting, and you are free to start using the Mosquito on Buddy to keep that aggro. Once you have Buddy in position, you just want to keep on focusing on shooting Buddy with the Mosquito, which can really help if the armor bars go out of sync. Sometimes when the armor bars go out of sync, the Mosquito will slow Buddy down when he tries to head back to the center, which will give your team a bigger window to correct the armor bars. You'll do this until the encounter is over. Agent 3 and Agent 8 are next. Agent 3 will be switching to a Glass Cannon Striker build like with the other agents that have been using this throughout the raid, and Agent 8 will keep on using that Glass Cannon Striker build that they have had on since the last boss encounter. Both agents will be doing exactly the same thing for this fight. At the start of the encounter, you'll want to wait near the door that Buddy will be coming out of when the shutters open. With the shutters open, you can enter the room and both of you can jump up on top of a server that is going to keep you protected from Lucy. The healer will be outside the room while Lucy does a 360 spin, and then will kite Lucy into the room that you two are in. Once Lucy is in the room and clear of the door, you can make a call for the agents to start shooting, and you'll want to start doing damage to Lucy. While damaging Lucy, you don't need to worry about the 360 spin that she might do, or the sniper, as the healer will keep you alive on top of the servers. Just shoot Lucy and watch the armor bar so that Lucy's armor stays in sync with Buddy's. Try and notice when Buddy's health bar starts flashing green, as this means he is healing and the people on the Buddy side will be having to fight through that. You may have to pause your fire to allow them to shoot through it, or it could be a good opportunity to catch up if you're falling behind on the damage. If the armor bars go out of sync, then Lucy will make a move back to the center of the main room, and the only way to correct this is by correcting the armor bars. You might have to jump off the surface at this point so that you can correct them. Once the armor is down to about 1 to 2 bars, there will be a coal to burn, and you should shoot to kill Lucy. Once Lucy is dead, just be careful of the mines that she drops around her. And finally, Agent 6. Agent 6 will be keeping the same True Patriot healer build on that they've used so far in this raid. The only adjustment that you want to make is to put on an exotic Mosquito sidearm. At the start of this encounter, you want to throw your Restorer Hive over at the group waiting for Buddy. So it doesn't get destroyed in combat, you are able to throw it up on a frame on the wall, and it'll be safe up there while still healing your teammates. Once this is done, you can go ahead and press the button to start the encounter. As soon as you've done that, you want to take cover on Lucy's laptop and dodge a 360 turret. You will be able to interact with this laptop once she finishes a turret, and this will give you Lucy's aggro. With her aggro, you want to kite her into the room where Agents 3 and 8 are on top of the server. The best way that I find to kite her is just to run straight into the room and then start shooting her with the Mosquito. Lucy will shoot at you with a sniper while doing this, so you might want to drop a chem for yourself. If Lucy comes straight into the room with you, you want to take cover in the corner and fire a chem launcher at the agent on the server. But sometimes she will take a time and go down outside the room to do another 360 turret. If she does this, then just let the team know that they need to hold fire while you wait to take her aggro again and get her in the room. Just keep shooting her with the Mosquito to keep aggro. Once she is in the room and the squad are shooting, all you need to do is keep the agents on the server healed in between shooting Lucy with your Mosquito. If the armor bars go out of sync, your Mosquito can give the agents a little extra time to correct them. Make sure that you also heal yourself if needed, and the encounter will be over once both Warhounds are killed. That is everything that you need to know about the Lucy and Buddy encounter and the basics, but there is another strategy that people much prefer once they have some experience. Lucy and Buddy can both be killed in the center when they first come out, and there is no need in separating them. There are different ways of doing this, but I go with 1 healer and 7 people with standard striker builds that include the striker chest piece. The healer will throw out the Restorer Hive in the center on something elevated, and then they will equip an Oxidizer Chem Launcher. Once the encounter starts, you'll allocate 3 people to shoot Lucy and 4 people to shoot Buddy, but everyone finds cover around the central area. As Lucy and Buddy come out, everyone except the healer will use a lefty to get max striker stacks as the Warhounds head to the center. Everyone will then take cover for the 360 turret while the healer fires an Oxidizer at Buddy to kill the Seeker Mines. After the 360 turret, the healer will continue to fire the Oxidizer at Buddy if they see him go to his knee, and the rest of the team will focus on Lucy or Buddy depending on who they are assigned to. The armor bars still need to be managed, but they both come down pretty much at the same pace, and with a bit of practice, this is a very easy way to kill the 2 Warhounds a little bit more quickly. And before I move on, the Lucy and Buddy boss encounter also has a commendation called the Evasive Maneuvers Merit. The description for this is to defeat Lucy and Buddy in a Dark Hours raid without any agent taking damage from one of Buddy's Seeker Mines. If you do the center strategy that I just discussed, then you'll more than likely get this anyway, as you have the healer focus on Buddy to make sure his Seeker Mines get destroyed with an Oxidizer. But if you're going to do the first strategy that I went over in detail, then you need to make an adjustment. What I do is get one of the agents that are over on Buddy's side to switch the Striker Glass Cannon build out for any build that has 6 skill tiers. Everyone else will do the same thing as I explained in the strategy earlier, but the person that switched to a 6 skill tier build will want to equip an Oxidizer, and then their job will be to destroy Buddy's Seeker Mines every time he goes down to his knee. The first time Buddy takes a knee is when he comes out after the encounter starts and he meets up with Lucy in the center. You'll need to get in a good position to fire the Oxidizer, and then he'll go down to his knee again once he is kited over to the corner. As long as you fire an Oxidizer at him when he takes a knee, it will destroy his Seekers, and other agents just need to make sure that they're not too close to him. Once the encounter is over, you'll get the commendation as long as no Seekers got away and hit anyone. Straight after the Lucy and Buddy encounter, you'll make your way through to the terminal, and you need to go right at the terminal to approach the final boss encounter. However, if you go left instead once you reach the terminal, you'll find a 4th raid key just sitting on the floor. And now we move on to Razorback. Razorback is the final boss encounter of the Dark Hours raid, and essentially you and your team are going to be charging up zones to stand Razorback up in order to do damage to it. You'll need to repeat this process multiple times until Razorback is dead while defending against ads, drones, warhounds and boomers. The key areas to this boss fight are charging generators, ad control, managing drones, Razorback damage, dodging mortars, boomer wipe phases, and then the final wipe mechanic. 4 players will need to be in charge of charging the generators, while the other 4 players are in charge of managing the ad spawns. Once generators are fully charged, you'll be ambushed by drones and will be on a time limit to do some damage to Razorback. Players will work together to manage the drones, destroy the weak points and damage Razorback. When you run out of time or reach the damage cap, Razorback will close up and you'll have to defend against Razorback's mortar strike. As soon as the mortar strike ends, you'll have more ad spawns and a boomer wipe phase where boomer will spawn in one of the 4 corners to interact with a terminal, which will fire rockets at you if you don't kill him in time. It'll increase to 2 boomers in 2 corners as you progress in the encounter. After you successfully kill a boomer, you'll rinse and repeat this process until you do enough damage to Razorback to destroy it, and then there will be one final wipe phase. All players must head back to their corners where the boomers were trying to interact with a terminal, and you must destroy each terminal when they flash to finish the raid. And I'll now go over my Razorback strategy. Just like with all of the other boss encounters in this guide, I'll give you the 8 roles and builds that I use to get this encounter done. Starting with Agent 1. You'll be switching back to your ongoing directive build that you used for the first 2 encounters of this raid. After you enter the area and clear the initial ads, you'll take position on Generator 4, but don't enter the generator area until the team is ready, as this will start the encounter. With your assault turret, you can set it up in one of the ad spawns in the corner to help with aggro, and then Agent 6, who is the drone killer, will do a call for all generator agents to go in on their generators to start the encounter, and the first Razorback phase will begin. You'll want to take cover on your generator to proc Overwatch, and you can use your Scorpio on any ads that you see to try and get OD rounds going for your team. Once the generator is at 100%, you'll wait for Razorback to stand up, and you'll do a cover-to-cover move so that you can get a good angle to shoot the right side weak point on Razorback with your Scorpio. At this point, you'll be proccing Overwatch and Opportunistic for your team while they do a Razorback damage phase. For the first damage phase, it is best that your team does damage to the backside of Razorback and you are on the front side, so you don't want to destroy the weak points. If it gets low, you just need to stop shooting. Once the team on the backside have done enough damage to Razorback and reach the damage cap, there'll be a mortar strike and you need to run back to your corner to dodge this strike. You can try and do cover to cover if you want to so that you don't lose the Overwatch buff for your team, but it isn't that important for this phase, so I just come out of cover and run. After the mortar strike, more ads will spawn in each corner of the area and there'll be a boomer wipe phase. You just need to help Agent 7 with their ads in your corner while trying to proc more OD rounds, and then get ready to go back on the generator. If the boomer does spawn in your corner, it is Agent 7 who will need to deal with him, and you should only help if they are in trouble. After the boomer wipe phase, there'll be another call to go back on your generators, and you'll do exactly the same again. Only this time, it'll be the front side's turn to do damage, so you'll destroy the weak point and shoot up to the top weak point to do damage. At the damage cap, there'll be more mortars and another boomer wipe phase, but this time there'll be 2 boomers that spawn in 2 corners. The rest of the encounter is the same as what you have just done. Charge generator, backside damage, mortars and boomers, charge generator, front side damage, final wipe phase. On the final wipe phase, there'll be mortars dropping but at random and they won't be targeting you, so just be careful that you don't get hit by one. And then you and Agent 7 will go back to your corner where the terminal is that Boomer was trying to interact with. When the screen on this terminal flashes red, you and Agent 7 will shoot it to destroy it. Once all 4 terminals in all 4 corners are destroyed, the raid is complete. I will now cover Agent 6. For this encounter, you're going to be taking off your healer build that you've had on throughout this whole raid, and you'll be swapping it to a drone killer build, as this is now going to be your role. And the build looks like this. You have the Survivalist Specialization and the Scorpio Exotic Shotgun. The secondary and the sidearm don't matter here. And to be fair, the Scorpio isn't that important. You could go with the Exotic Capacitor if you wanted to give yourself some extra skill damage. Or with the Scorpio, you'll just be shooting at ads to help support your team. The main part of this build is that you have the ability to kill drones, and you do that with the hardwired gear set. You have 4-piece hardwired on the mask, backpack, knee pads, and holster. Each piece will have a skill tier and skill damage rolled on them. With the gloves, you can go for the exotic BTSU gloves, so if at any point you need to do an overcharge and refresh people's hives, you can do. And the chest piece is a Wyvern chest piece with skill damage, repair skills, and glass cannon. The way this is set up is for like new players, so if you're not max watch level, it gives you enough skill damage to destroy those drones. It's very important that you reach a certain skill damage so that you can destroy them. So having glass cannon on this build just helps that. And then with the mods, skill haste is not important at all with this build, so I just throw on repair skills mods. And finally, the skills, I have a Restorer Hive and I have the Jammer Pulse. When you initially go into the final area, you're going to want to throw your Restorer Hive down into that area so your team can jump into it from the terminal and get heals. The team will take out all the initial ads and then you'll get ready next to Generator 1, but you won't enter the zone until everybody is ready. During this encounter, you'll be in charge of the generator calls and the timing of going into them to ensure that things stay smooth for the team. Once everyone is in position and ready, you'll do a call for all generator agents to go in on their generators and charge them up. You'll be the one doing this for Generator 1. While it is charging, you can use your Scorpio and support Agent 8 with their ads. Agent 8 will be covering you outside of one generator. Just keep one eye on the charge though and let your team know once it reaches about 80%. You will want to get your crossbow ready, which should have some ammo, and fire it at the gate as soon as Razorback opens up. If you don't have any special ammo, then you should let your team know beforehand so that Agents 7 and 8 can break the gate for you with their guns. As soon as you do that, you need to use your Jammer Pulse to take out the drones that have spawned in. These drones will keep on spawning during all of Razorback damage phases, and it's your job to take them out. With your build, you are able to use your jammer pulse and then put your restorer hive down after 5 seconds to automatically refresh your jammer. This means you'll always have a jammer pulse available for each drone spawn. Just keep taking the drones out until the damage phase is over, and then when you hear the mortars coming in, you can get tight to Razorback where the gate is to be immune from the mortars. After the mortars, just head back to your corner and support Agent 8 with their adds. You will also now be on the boomer wipe phase, but you'll want to get ready for the next generator phase. Agent 8 is responsible for taking out Boomer if he spawns on your corner at 1. You should only help out with Boomer if Agent 8 is struggling. Once Boomer has spawned in on one of the corners and been killed, you need to call the generator agents back in to charge the generators as soon as you can. The Boomers are on a timer, and the longer you wait, the more out of sync you'll get. I start a slow countdown from 3 as soon as the Boomer dies. If anyone needs a little more time, they can call for it, but if we get delayed for more than 5 seconds, I'll call off the Razorback phase to wait for another Boomer wipe phase before we try again. The rest of the encounter is like this. You'll do 4 Razorback phases in total, providing each is successful, and after the second Razorback damage phase, there'll be 2 Boomers that spawn and need taken care of on the Boomer wipe phases. If at any point things go wrong, you can always hit reset by waiting for a Boomer wipe phase and then going again. Taking your time is key when learning this encounter with your team. After the 4th Razorback damage phase, as long as all goes to plan, you'll be on the final wipe phase. This is the same as I explained for Agent 1. You and Agent 8 will have to make sure that your terminal in corner 1 is destroyed when it flashes red. I will now cover Agent 7 and Agent 8. Agent 7 and Agent 8 will both be switching builds for this encounter. Agent 7 will be switching to a standard striker build, and Agent 8 will be switching to a standard coyote striker build. The builds look like this. For the standard striker build, we've got the grenade launcher specialization. This is great for Razorback because it allows you to survive 1 explosion every 60 seconds that can really help if you mistime a mortar. The primary weapon is the exotic St. Elmo's, but you can go with whatever assault rifle you prefer. The secondary is the lefty, which is great for stacking up the strikers. You can fire this lefty at Razorback at any point to get those stacks, and the sidearm doesn't matter. For the gear pieces, we've got 4-piece striker, mask, backpack, gloves, and chest piece. All have weapon damage and crit damage on them. The holster is a Cheska holster with weapon damage, crit chance, and crit damage. And the knee pads are the Fox's Prayer knee pads with weapon damage, damage a target out of cover, and crit damage. The mods on the build are up to you. You can go crit chance or crit damage, whatever you prefer. And for the skills, we got the Revive Hive and an Assault Turret. Just in case it's needed, you should definitely have the Concussion Grenade on. And then the Coyote version is pretty much the same. All you're doing is switching out the Fox's Prayer knee pads and putting in some Striker knee pads with weapon damage and crit damage. And you're taking out the Striker mask and bringing in the exotic Coyote mask. This is going to buff your team with crit chance and crit damage. Agent 7 and Agent 8 will be performing the same role on the front side of Razorback. Agent 7 will be covering the area outside of 4 generator, and Agent 8 will be covering the outside of 1 generator. You'll both drop into the area and take out the initial adds before taking position in your corners. You can use your assault turrets to drop at add spawns to help with aggro. As soon as you hear Agent 6, the drone killer, call for the generator agents to get on the generators, you'll need to get ready for the add spawns. 2 adds will spawn in both of the corners at 1 and 4. Agent 7 will clear the adds on 4, while Agent 8 clears the adds on 1. As soon as the generators are at 100%, the drone killer will destroy the gate on Razorback. They'll let you know if they are out of ammo beforehand, and if they are out of ammo, then both of you need to shoot at the gate to destroy it. Once the gate is destroyed, one of you or both of you should use your grenade launcher to fire in the hole that has opened up from the gate being destroyed. This will make the light go green on your side of Razorback, which will be prepped for damage. The agents on the backside of Razorback will be doing exactly the same thing, and Razorback will stand up once both sides are prepped. With Razorback standing, Agent 7 will do damage to the right weak point, and Agent 8 will do damage to the left. On this damage phase, you will only be prepping for damage, so only take the weak points down to low health. It'll be the agents on the backside of Razorback who go the whole way and do Razorback damage. Once the damage phase is done, there will be mortars fired at both of you and you need to dodge these. Once dodged, just head back to your corners and there'll be another ad spawn to deal with. As well as ads, you will be on a boomer wipe phase and must keep one eye out for boomer in your corner. Boomer is only going to spawn in one corner at this point, and if it is yours, you're responsible for dealing with him. He is easy to deal with though, his weak spot is his bottom, and if you shoot his bottom, he'll die super quick. In the instance where you might go down to ads and the boomer spawns in at the same time, you should call for the agent on your generator to come and support the boomer damage, because if he isn't killed, you will need to restart the whole encounter. Once the boomer wipe phase is done, it is rinse and repeat. The next time you'll do damage to Razorback on the front, then it'll be back damage again, and finally it'll be front damage to finish Razorback off. Remember that after the first front damage phase when Razorback has half health, 2 boomers will spawn in 2 out of the 4 corners. Once you are on the final wipe phase, Agent 7 will head back to the terminal on 4 corner and Agent 8 to the terminal on 1 corner. When the screens on your terminals flash red, you need to shoot to destroy them. And now I'll be going over Agent 4 and Agent 5. Agent 4 and Agent 5 will both be wearing the same builds that they have worn throughout the whole raid. Agent 5 just needs to make sure that they have taken off the scanner pulse, which they switched to earlier, and put the assault turret back on. Once you both jump into the area and take out the initial ads, Agent 4 will position themselves ready for Generator 3, while Agent 5 will be ready for Generator 2. Agent 5 can throw their assault turret at an ad spawn, and Agent 4 will want to place their tactician drone in the center. The encounter works exactly the same as I have already discussed, but you two are covering the generators on the back side. You will charge the generators when called. At 100%, Agent 5 will use a crossbow to destroy the gate, or agents on the backside will need to shoot it if there's no ammo. When Razorback stands up, you'll do backside damage, and then after the damage, dodge mortars and support with ads in your corner. You'll then get ready near your generators for the next Razorback phase and only help with boomers if you are called to help. Remember that the next damage phase will be on the front and then it will be back again before the front to finish. And also remember that 2 boomers will spawn in 2 of the 4 corners after the front has done their first damage phase and Razorback is at half health. After all damage phases, Agent 5 will head back to the terminal in corner 2 and Agent 7 will head back to the terminal in corner 3. You must destroy each terminal when the screen on them flashes red. And finally, we have Agent 2 and Agent 3. Agent 2 and Agent 3 will be doing the exact same role as Agent 7 and Agent 8, but on the backside of Razorback. You'll even be wearing the same builds. Agent 2 will wear the standard Coyote Striker build, while Agent 3 will wear the standard Striker build. The roles are exactly the same, but just remember you are on the backside. The damage phases will be back front, back front. Agent 2 will be covering Generator 3 corner and Agent 3 will be covering Generator 2 corner. And before we continue, I just want to remind you about that tip for anybody with striker builds. It is very easy to keep your striker stacks up on this encounter. At any moment you can switch out to your lefty and fire anywhere on Razorback and this will charge your striker stacks to max. And that is everything that you need to know about Razorback, but there is one more strategy that many teams like to do, and it's called fast generators. I thought it was well worth a mention, but I'd only do this once your team is comfortable. Nothing about the overall Razorback strategy changes to do this, but all it is that you don't wait for boomer wipe phases. Basically, you'll charge your generators, do damage phases, and then after the mortar strikes, the generator agents will go straight back in to charge them up again. This shaves off quite a bit of time as you are not waiting on a boomer to spawn to get killed, but the agents covering the 4 corners need to be able to manage their ads as well as Razorback damage while keeping an eye out for any boomers. It just means there is a lot less room for error, but once you're experienced, it is well worth doing. And finally, the Razorback encounter does come with a commendation which is called the Blitzkrieg Merit. The description for this is to defeat DDP-52 Razorback in the Dark Hours raid before it deploys its tower for the 9th time. Back when this raid came out, this may have been something people could have missed. It was difficult to do the Razorback damage cap in 1 tower phase, but even then I remember getting the damage phases done in 2 attempts on my first clear, which meant the tower only went up 8 times. It'll be very difficult nowadays to defeat Razorback with a tower going up more than 8 times. I imagine everybody now gets this on the very first clear. But if you are struggling and you somehow beat Dark Hours with the tower raising more than 8 times, then you just need to get more efficient with more damage to get a completion with the tower raising less than 9 times for this commendation. And we are now at the end of this guide. I hope this has been helpful as I tried to cover every inch of the Dark Hours raid. The last thing to discuss with you is the remaining commendations. So far, I have already covered the commendations for each of the boss encounters, which are Rapid Response Merit, Target Prioritization Merit, Evasive Maneuvers Merit, and the Blitzkrieg Merit. By completing your first Dark Hours, you'll also earn the Max Boomer Bailey Award, the Oliver Weasel Gordon Award, Lucian Buddy Award, and the DDP52 Razorback Award. There are still 4 commendations to earn for the Dark Hours raid. You have the Dark Hours Merit, the Extreme Service Distinction, Extreme Operations Distinction, and the Blueberry the Bear Merit. For the Dark Hours Merit, you must complete the raid on Discovery Mode. This mode you can matchmake, and it is far easier than the normal mode, which this guide is for. If you have a friend, you could probably complete this with just 2 of you. It is that much easier. The Extreme Service Distinction requires you to complete the Dark Hours raid 5 times from start to finish. The Extreme Operations Distinction requires you to complete a Dark Hours raid without any agent getting killed. This means that your whole team needs to be flawless throughout, but going down to your knees is okay. The flawless is only lost if an agent goes unconscious. With this guide and some practice, you'll be able to flawless this raid every time. Just remember that the Discovery version of the raid does not count. And finally, we have the Blueberry the Bear Merit to close off this guide. For this commendation, you must shoot 40 blue bears that you can find throughout the Dark Hours raid. This has to be done in one raid, and if you miss one, you'll need to start a new raid and go again. I'll end this guide with the location of all 40 of these bears now, but before I let that clip play, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that supported me with making these video guides, and a huge thank you to anyone that gets this far and watched it. Make sure you hit the like button, comment down below to help the algorithm, and subscribe to the channel if you love The Division 2. Down in the video description will be even more raid content. Perfect if you want to see videos on each of the roles discussed today in more focused detail. There will also be a link to my personal Discord server if you want help from any of my teams on these raids, or even if you want to join my team to help with these raids. Make sure you come and join us. Thank you again for watching. Here is a clip of me shooting 40 blue bears to finish. Take care.
They've got some kind of active protection system intercepting our mortar rounds. Only a few got through.
Shit. You have to push through, Agent. This is our one shot.
transfer complete.
There's a lot of data to sift through here. This is gonna take a few minutes.
Hostile radio intercepted.
The Division are on site. Do not, repeat, do not let them touch that plane.
Anything they want to protect is something we should be concerned about. Check out that plane. Razorback might still be parked in the main offloading area. Head through baggage handling, then the mall.
Hostile radio intercepted.
Weasel isn't responding. Assume he's dead. Copy that. All elements be ready for contact.
System malfunctioning. System back online.
Be ready for anything. Who knows what other nasty surprises these guys have in store. anything, Agent? A mortar team is on standby to soften up the perimeter so you can get through. Be ready to move.
The first barrage is on its way.
They've got some kind of active protection system intercepting our mortar rounds. Only a few got through.
Shit. You have to push through, Agent. This is our one shot at this place.
Unusual energy signature detected.
I've never seen readings like this. Looks like it's coming from the terminal. Get in there and see if you can pinpoint the source.
Source of energy signal confirmed.
Seems to be some kind of high-tech defensive system. See if you can put it out of commission.
Defense system node disabled. System malfunction. Defense system node disabled. System back online.
Weapon. Agent, stand up again.
System reactivating. Defense system reactivation aborted. Defense system disabled.
One shot.
Defense system reactivating. Defense system reactivation aborted.
Let's hope that system was just a prototype. Head to the hangar and see if you can dig up cargo manifests. We need to know what else Black Tusk has brought in.
Network access point detected.
Patch into that terminal and see what we can find.
Transfer complete.
There's a lot of data to sift through here. This is gonna take a few minutes.
Hostile radio intercepted.
The division are on site. Do not, repeat, do not let them touch that plane.
Anything they want to protect is something we should be concerned about. Check out that plane.
Toxic gas detected. Air quality acceptable.
Deploy Razorback. I'm going to check on Dawson and Carter.
Toxicity at critical levels. Toxicity at critical levels.
Going off this data Isaac transmitted, Razorback must be the new mobile weapon system Black Tusk brought in. It's definitely some kind of vehicle, but there's no mention of its intended combat role. And we should blow it the fuck up regardless. Razorback might still be parked in the main offloading area. Head through baggage handling, then the mall.
Hostile radio intercepted.
Weasel isn't responding. Assume he's dead. Copy that. All elements be ready for contact.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
ready for anything. Who knows what other nasty surprises these guys have in store.
Autonomous security systems activating.
That sounds bad.
Hostile explosive seeker mine detected. Overcharge removed. Overcharge removed.
Good work. Now find Razorback and put it out of commission.
System restored.
All secondary systems online. Primary systems at 76%. Anticipate full combat readiness in T-minus 60 seconds. We cannot lose this airport. This ends here.
Vehicle designation DDP-52 Razorback confirmed.
Wreck that fucking thing, Agent.
Critical systems exposed. Critical systems compromised. Critical systems exposed. Missile turrets activating.
Incredible work. Secured the airport and taken out a bunch of Black Tusk's experimental weaponry. We'll get a team to sweep the area and recover whatever they can. There's bound to be intel and equipment we can put to good use.